Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Tysis, and we're here to talk about the Wii U. Of course, the console looks like it could be wrapping up earlier than expected with the new console at the end of this year or next year. And I believe that we can say from a consumer point of view, as a consumer product, it has failed. It has failed with 12.6 million units shipped over nearly 3.5 years, and compared to the PlayStation 4's 38 million sold, and Microsoft's probably nearly 20 million units sold with a year less than the Wii U. And it is quite sad that that's happened, but it is something that is now a reality. I gave the Wii U a year to work out those issues and to see if it would make a comeback with a number of games: Splatoon, Mario Maker, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. But it hasn't worked, and the Wii U has failed. And we're going to go over some of the reasons why it has failed, I guess especially for those who are wondering why Nintendo's console has not done or performed that well. I would say at the launch time, there were weak launch products. New Super Mario Brothers U was not a strong enough title. It was a 2D Mario game where it was too similar to the Wii version. The same thing with the branding of the name too, which was very, very sad. Other two is the other launch game was Nintendo Land, which did not have anywhere near the success of Wii Sports. It didn't really show off the gamepad too greatly, which was a shame. It also had poor sales, and which is a very obvious thing. It also had a lack of vision for the gamepad. No one really knew what was going to be happening for that sort of thing. And just organising myself there. And the problem with the lack of vision for the gamepad was Nintendo couldn't figure out what to do with the gamepad. They had this great idea at the time being, and it didn't work out for them. They didn't know what innovative games it could be for them, which is a shame. There was a lack of system options such as voice chat, group chat, achievements, things like that. It was not a modern operating system. It was still better than the Wii, but it was still having issues and problems in that, in terms of lacking as a modern feature. It also was an extremely slow operating system that required two major updates to speed it up. So really the Wii U was pushed out the door quite quickly in terms of its operating system. There was also the biggest problem probably was the confusing brand of calling it the Wii U, which was a terrible name for a gaming console, probably the worst that I've ever heard of. It was a terrible name to give it, and to still give it the Wii name, obviously because the Wii itself was very successful. They thought that they could continue that success, which ultimately failed abysmally for Nintendo. You also had the problems of the start and stop HD games. Nintendo was caught with their pants down, not able to produce steady stream of games, which also suffered with the Nintendo 3DS. We had good periods of Wii U games, and then we had long droughts of 4 to 6 months, which was not good enough from Nintendo themselves, sadly. And hopefully now, after 4 years of working on HD games, that they've learned how to produce better time frames and that, now that they've got the devs teams put together, the hardware and software, and their handheld and home console teams are back together in the reshuffles over the last few years. The issue was that there should have been a second price cut. I think there was one for the Wii U, but they could not do another price cut due to it probably wouldn't have worked, and the gamepad was too expensive to produce. And that was something that should have been, here in Australia, it's still on for sale for $430. It should be about $300 by now, or $350 at the max. This thing is expensive dinosaur of a product, which was already underpowered in 2012. Now it's 2016, and it's still having problems to sell. It has always had problems to sell this console, and it's been rather, rather poor. There was also very little third-party support to next to none. There was obviously some that decided to jump on board at the beginning, but they too struggled with the idea of what to use the gamepad for. The porting was also quite poor. Some of the ports were poor, but traditionally Nintendo fans do like to keep to Nintendo games. And I think this showed even more this generation because of why some of these titles such as Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon sold so well, because they were probably the only good polished games on the system. Nintendo also suffered from very poor promotions. This console was poorly promoted and was not able to really show to parents and to people why they should buy this console. People kept on thinking it was an accessory to the Wii because it was called the Wii U and it had a gamepad. And even the console itself looked very, very similar. Also, for the dev teams that were trying to work out how to make the Wii U, it was also had poor documentations and tools for them to use, which is not a good sign that people would want to do or work for the Wii U. Even trying to port games from the Xbox 360 and PS3, it would have taken a fair bit of a task for that to happen. Even for the PS4 and Xbox One, that was the same case. Developers did not feel like Nintendo was being open to them and decided to axe any ideas of supporting Nintendo. And so the poor relationships continued nearly after 20 years. So, and also too, that apparently halfway during the R&D of this console, they decided to scrap the idea and start off a new console, which was eventually be called the Wii U. Now, some people suggest it was the Wii HD, which would have been just a HD version of the Wii with the Motion Plus controllers thrown in there. But I think they probably felt it was not a good idea and probably very much the same product again that they were trying to produce. So they decided to add a gamepad to it and make things even worse. So overall, the experiences of the Wii U has been very poor. And obviously it has been a very terrible time for Nintendo over the last 4 years trying to promote this console. There has been some good experiences with Splatoon and Mario Maker, Bayonetta 2, Smash Brothers and Mario Kart 8 that does suggest that Nintendo still knows how to make great games, but some terrible spin-offs and some sort of lack of good games during droughts has suggested that Nintendo has suffered quite poorly during this period. And I think that's given a very bitter taste in people's mouths about the Wii U period, even more so than the Wii. So I would think with the NX console, whatever it's going to be called and whenever that's going to be released, who knows. But this console has failed. From a consumer product point of view, it has. Now, to the fans, they probably have enjoyed this console. They've had a lot of fun. And that's well and good. But at the end of the day, Nintendo is a business. They need to make money. They can't just sit off their profits for the next 30 years as they could and just eat into their savings and budgets. They do need to make money because they have investors, and it's not a good sign for a business that never makes money. It actually defies what a business is trying to achieve. And so that brings us to the end about the Wii U video. And it is sad, but they need to go back to the drawing board and hopefully they're getting this stuff right and modernize their console with a powerful console that is standard, has a standard controller, and they can bring back some third-party content and get back on top of the game. Because it would be a sad world if Nintendo stopped making home consoles or handhelds. That's it from me, and I'll see you later on.